Good morning. Welcome to Duri, Sumatra, Indonesia. I'm still at the Brasco Hotel. That's my room right behind me there, room 204. And I don't know if it came across in my video about the trip to get here, but when I finally arrived in Duri, I was struggling. I have this philosophy and this idea that if you're going to go on a bike tour, the very first day should be an absolute nothing day. At most, you should pack up your bike, ride like 10 kilometers, and then check into another hotel. That's enough for the first day, mentally and physically and getting organized and things like that. And then after that, the second day you might ride 20 kilometers. You really have to ease into it just to take care of your body, take care of your brain, and just to organize as you go and ease into these things. But I didn't do that yesterday, partially because I was sick in Dumai. I spent a lot more time there than I planned, so I'm really under the gun now. My original idea was to get to Bukittinggi, and then while I'm there, I will get there just in time to go to the immigration office to extend my tourist visa for another 30 days. But now I feel really under the gun that I don't have a lot of time to get there and do that. So plans might be shifting. But also when I left from Dumai yesterday, I was feeling this time pressure. And there was no place to stay in between Dumai and Duri. Like there was no place where I could just pull over to the side of the road after 10 kilometers and find a place to stay, or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50. I'd looked online, I was looking everywhere, I was asking people, talking to people, and nobody could suggest a place to stay. And I wasn't prepared at all to be sleeping in a tent at the side of the road, that's for sure. Partially because it was so early in the day. You can sleep in your tent at night if you arrive someplace at nighttime and then you just put up your tent and go to sleep. But if it's 11 o'clock in the morning, you can't exactly just put up your tent and lie there for the next 18 hours. What are you going to do? And it was so hot, brutally hot. The sun burnt me to a crisp. The roar of the traffic, the chaos of the traffic, everything was overwhelming. So in the end, and actually the biggest problem, I don't know even if I mentioned it in the first video, I ran into trouble with my knees. Again, because I was trying to do too much on the first day, like right out of the gate, and my knees were just in agony, and I've never had that experience before. And I reached a point where I thought I was doing damage to my knees. Like every time I turned the pedal, I was like grinding out cartilage or something. And if I kept riding, I was going to end up turning myself into a cripple who can't walk or something. I was in that much pain. And at about 50 kilometers, I stopped at the side of the road. There was a little place where I could get my current favorite meal, mie ayam bakso. So I pulled in there and got off the bike, and I just about fell to the ground because my knees wouldn't support me. And I waddled into this place, and I had my mie ayam bakso, sweltering hot, just so hot. You think you're going to like burst into flames or something. And then I had the mie ayam bakso, and I was there for like half an hour, and that gave my knees time to seize up. So when I tried to get up to go back to my bike, I could barely walk. I couldn't lift my leg over the bike to get on. And then when I started pedaling, I was just in so much pain. My knees were on fire. I really thought I was doing damage to them, but I thought, if I kept cycling for a few minutes, maybe I'll get into the groove, things will become easier. And at that point, again, there was no place to stay there. I couldn't find a hotel. I couldn't find any kind of accommodation. And it was about 22 kilometers from there to get to Duri. And I thought, let's just ride, the final 22 kilometers to Duri. And that, I had no choice but to do that. But it really was a bad decision because physically I was a wreck. Mentally, I was going out of my mind. All the fun and the ease of the morning was gone. This was just a grind. And the only way I got through it was I fired up a phone with a bunch of podcasts. And I just lost myself in the stories of these podcasts from Radio Lab, from 99% Invisible, from Planet Money, all these podcasts. And I just went from one to the other to the other. And that got me into Duri. And then in Duri, I had so much trouble with the traffic. Then I had my problems with this hotel here, which I had booked through Agoda and paid for through Agoda, but then they wouldn't give me a room. They said they weren't accepting, Agoda bookings anymore. I guess they just made that decision out of the blue. It's like, no more Agoda. And yet they're still available on all these online sites. So, not knowing any better, I just booked a room and paid for it in advance, not knowing that when I showed up, they're going to say, no, we're not going to honor that booking. And if you want to stay here, you have to pay again, and you have to pay again at a rate that turned out to be 4 times higher than the rate I had paid through Agoda. But I was in such bad shape, such rough shape, that I didn't have a choice. And my original idea as I was riding, because my knees were in such bad shape, I thought I should at least spend 1 day here, because there's no way, I didn't have confidence that I would wake up in the morning and be able to ride my bike. I thought I might wake up and be unable even to get out of bed. So I thought, okay, I should spend at least a day here to give myself, that cushion. So yeah, this morning I was thinking, well, should I stay in this hotel, just bite the bullet, pay another, what feels like an extortionate amount of money for another room here? And it's so funny because I could see it on Agoda, I could see it on Booking.com, on Oyo, on Google Maps, all the listings. You can see all these amazing prices for this room. And if I could get those prices, I would stay here for sure. But I knew that if I booked it through one of those sites, I would have to go down to the desk and pay again in cash anyway. They're not going to honor any of those online bookings. So it left me with a bad taste in my mouth about this hotel. So I started looking around for an option, and I thought, is it worth the hassle of packing up, checking out? And then you've always got that 3-hour gap, because checkout here is 11 in the morning, check-in at the other places at 2 in the afternoon. What do you do for those 3 hours? You just wander around the city like a ghost. It's such a pain to change hotels. And I thought, maybe I should just pay the amount that they want, and then I can just have the luxury of at least staying in that room. There's nothing wrong with the room. I'd be perfectly comfortable staying here for a long time. It's perfectly comfortable. I just didn't want to, like I said, I just have a bad feeling about this place now. So in the end, I did book another room, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm already packed up. It's a little bit after 11 right now, and I'm going to start bringing my gear downstairs, get my bike ready. And this new hotel looks really wonderful. Significantly cheaper booking it online as compared to paying for this place in cash. And so right now I'm packing up and moving to my new hotel. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm happy that I'm taking the time to do this. Oh, on the positive side, another positive side, my knees don't feel that bad. So whatever I was going through yesterday, it feels like it was some kind of a strain. It was a weird pain. I couldn't figure it out. It wasn't like pinpointed at any point of my knee. It was like the whole knee area, from way above it on my thigh all the way down to the calf. The whole knee area just seemed to have broken. And I couldn't really locate what was wrong. But now that I'm walking around, I woke up and my knees feel fine. So that's good news. I don't want to ride my bike all of today though, so I'm glad I'm going to spend the day here in Duri. So that's good news. Weather is also looking pretty good. Here is my neighborhood. This is where the Brasco is located. There's a Duri. And down below me, they have a small garage, and my bike is parked inside the garage. But before I leave this place, I just had a couple of thoughts about the bathroom here. I just thought I'd do a little bit of a demo. These bathrooms, they're such a hoot. They're like escape rooms. I've never gone to an escape room, but I get the basic idea. They lock you in a room, and then you have to use all these clues to figure out how to get out of that room. You know, you basically have to turn into a detective. And when you move into one of these older hotels, like a vintage hotel, there's a lot in the bathroom, in the room in general, that you have to figure out. You have to be the Sherlock Holmes of staying in a hotel, and I'll show you a couple of things. The video quality is going to fall apart because I'm going to go indoors with the GoPro, but it's the way it is. So here's the room itself. I showed it in the video before. I'm all packed up. These are my two pannier bags and my trailer down there ready to go. And even in this part of the room, you have to figure out electricity because there's one outlet right here near the door. And that's what usually happens when there's one outlet. It's almost always right beside the door, which is the worst place because, I mean, that's where you do all your living and all your electronics are there. That's where you want to plug everything in. And yet, for some reason, back in the old days, when they designed these hotel rooms, they always put everything right beside the door. But I have an extension cord and a power bank and all that kind of stuff. So I have to set up all my electronics. So you have to sort of figure all that out. But here's the bathroom. And oh man, yeah, there's a lot to figure out here. I mean, the very first thing I discovered, of course, is that there's no hot water of any kind. It's all cold water. That's pretty standard. And then you always end up in this situation where they have the original faucets and then the original shower mounting mechanism. But over the years, of course, they've had to replace the shower. So here's the new, you know, the new shower head. And being a moron, I confidently put it in here. Of course, it doesn't match, right? They didn't put in the new mounting mechanism. They just kept the old one. They didn't bother taking this one out and replacing it with the new one. So your shower head, you can never mount it unless you use a bunch of ropes and bungee cords. You know, you have to tie it in place yourself. So that's one thing you have to figure out. And then I woke up this morning and I was in here, I was gonna brush my teeth and shave, and I go over to the sink and there's no water. There's no water in the sink at all. So I thought, oh, okay, so there's no water in the sink. But then I was checking out the little, what do they call, I don't know what you call these things, but a little hand thing, you know, where you can get a spray of water, sort of like a portable bidet to be used, you know, with the toilet. And yeah, there's no water there either. So I thought, okay, maybe the main water valve you must turn that on. So you had to figure out, okay, where is the valve? Here it is down here. So I turn on the valve and look what happens. The sink starts to work. So the only way you can get water in the sink is by turning on the valve for this bum hose, and yet you can't turn the water off. This just flows all the time. So, yeah. And then the water from the sink just goes down into a pipe, pours out onto the floor. And if you wonder why your feet are getting soaking wet, and there's toothpaste and then shaving cream all over the floor and all over your feet, it's just because the water pours out onto the floor. And now, yeah, I've got, you know, water here as well because I've turned on that valve. But now if you want to get water in the sink, you have to turn on the valve down here, and then to turn it off again, you have to shut off the valve. And the last thing I discovered, I didn't figure this out until this morning because I came in here, and this is the towel, you know, you get with the room, you know, very, very old towel, barely a towel anymore. And I used it yesterday and I hung it up here, and then I came in this morning, took a shower, and the towel was soaking wet from top to bottom. And then I realized that right above the towel rack, that's the air conditioner pipe. So that's the water coming from the air conditioner, and it drips directly onto the towel on the towel rack. Right? So if you put your towel on the towel rack it's going to be soaking wet in the morning. And I don't know, take a look at that pipe. I was wondering about that gunk coming out of it. How many years has it taken for whatever that is? Looks toxic, that stuff to be building up. But anyway, so that's what I figured out. I figured out how to take a shower, how to turn on the water in the sink, how to keep your towel dry. You basically just don't hang it up in here, or you gotta make sure you keep it over to the side. I was just really happy that I didn't hang my toiletries kit here, which I might normally do, you know, with all my toiletries, because it would have been right underneath that pipe and it would have gotten soaking wet. So that's it. The bathroom, escape room at the Brasco Hotel. Yeah, there was a lot to figure out in here, that's for sure. I don't know how well I showed this the other day when I arrived, but this is the outside of the Brasco, the an Oyo branded hotel. And one good thing about this place is they have quite a large garage here. I guess you could park cars inside as well, but of course you could just park cars on the outside. I think this garage is mainly used for scooters and motorcycles, but it saved me the effort of carrying the bike, you know, up to my room. So I was able to just leave it here overnight. As you can see, it's quite a large space, and they lock these doors at night, so it's relatively secure. But of course, even here, I had to do a lot of thinking, because there's all these motorcycles here, and I just rolled my bike right beside the next motorcycle, and I was about to walk away, and then I noticed this big puddle here, because they have water, you know, dripping through the ceiling from that point. And I'd parked my bike right underneath the water drip. So I was so out of it yesterday. Anyway, I moved it to a dry spot. All right. Leaving from Nebraska. And in theory, it is just half a kilometer through these pleasant residential side streets to get to my new hotel. Nice neighborhood. And I wonder if I've already gone in the wrong direction. Time to check. Yeah, nice looking school. It's always interesting to see the kids being dropped off and picked up on scooters by their parents. And there's always these little snack stalls just outside the school gates. And I think I turned left here. There's an interesting new fad going on right now in Dubai. I mentioned that kite flying seemed to be a fad, but there's one other that seems to be sweeping Sumatra. Maybe it's a bit difficult to describe, but there are like two hard balls, like billiard balls, and they're connected to a rope, and then these ropes are connected to a ring, and yeah, you can just click the balls together, and if you get really good at it, you can make them click top and bottom, and it makes a very loud clackety sound, you know. I used to have those when I was a kid too. They were very popular back in Canada from time to time. Just like a yo-yo fad would come and go, the fad of you know, playing with these toys would come and go as well. And then down this tiny road, right, left, and right again, and I should be there. Once I see the hotel, Should be very easy to recognize. It stands out. For this short ride, my knees feel okay, so at least I don't feel bone scraping against bone. So hopefully I didn't cause a lot of permanent damage yesterday. But I certainly wouldn't want to ride a long distance today. Yeah, I can feel pain in my left knee already, just from this short ride, so. Yeah, I overshot the hotel again. I don't know what it is with me lately. I'm just lost all the time. I get disoriented in these cities. Look at the houses here. Very nice. But in theory, turn left here and right. But yeah, look at the houses all around me. And here we are, found it. It wasn't a straight line, or even a straight zigzag line. I got turned around a couple of times already. But here it is over here, the homestay Rido Ilahi. Hello. Comes highly recommended online with reviews as a budget hotel. It's probably where I should have gone right from the beginning. But the original listing from Brasco was quite a bit cheaper than this place, about half the price. That's why I ended up choosing Brasco, but they wouldn't honor their price from Agoda. So it ended up costing me a lot more than if I just sort of come here right from the beginning. Much nicer place for me. Rooms on the bottom floor, maybe I can get one of those. Looks like they have a really nice front desk. When I showed up at Brasco, it was like arriving at a ghost town. There's like nobody there. You didn't feel welcome. Everything was dark. All the lights were off. Yeah, and they have this big parking area, big courtyard, which is always nice. Yeah, look at that, a whole bunch of rooms on the ground floor. And I think most people prefer to be on upper floors. So I think a special request to be on the ground floor shouldn't be a problem. But I don't know if I can check in this early. Let's find out. And look at this. Nice swing set. Some outdoor seating in the garden for when you're checking in. Call to prayer from the mosque over there. Some nice flowers. Homestay. There's the sign for the place. Rido Ilahi. Things are happening as the call to prayer goes on. It's a very long call to prayer this morning. But as I was just walking around taking pictures, and then a woman came out one of the main doors, and she greeted me, spoke basic English, which is very nice, and greeted me cheerfully saying, "Oh, would you like to stay here?" And I said, "Absolutely." And she had to go off and deliver some food somewhere. But she'll be back in a couple of minutes, she said. So, and I asked her already if I can get a room on the ground floor, and she's perfectly fine with that. So things are looking up on the world on the world of Planet Doug. Yeah, I should stop saying that. That makes no sense. Things are looking up on Planet Doug. So far, so good. All checked in. Can't believe how long that call to prayer is going on. They're very devout at that mosque. They're quadrupling down on the call to prayer this morning. But yeah, I got a room here down on the ground floor. These are the rooms here. I'm in 5A. Right here. I love the green coloring. Very cheerful. All right, big reveal. What kind of a room have I found myself in? Much smaller than previous rooms. My rooms are getting smaller and smaller, but yeah, I like this place a lot. Such a friendly welcome, efficient, professional, warm. Yeah, nothing could be better than that. And I get a purple room on the inside. Purple coverings on the bed, purple curtains, air conditioning, which I haven't turned on yet. I should do that right away. There we go, that works. And look at that, you even get toothbrush and toothpaste and soap for 2 people. And I haven't done a full dive into the bathroom yet to to figure out all of the escape room elements. But yeah, a very simple one. There's no sink at all, so you don't have to worry about that. But there is a mirror and water. Does water just come out? There you go, water just comes out, which is nice. And look at that. The shower head matches the mounting bracket. Hooks on the door. Big fan of hooks everywhere. And there you have it, my new home. There was some confusion over pricing though, because I probably should have just kept my mouth shut. I know better than to ask questions. But I did ask, well, if I want to stay longer, like book another night or another 2 nights, should I just book it through Agoda like I booked originally? And that's what I want to do anyway. And then they said, no, don't do that. You get much cheaper rates at the desk. So then I said, oh, really? So how much is it per night? And at the desk, the rate per night is significantly higher than what I'm paying through Agoda. And I pointed that out to them, and they said, yes, it's much cheaper to come to the desk. But I pointed out that their desk price is much higher than the Agoda price. And they says, no, it's much cheaper. And I says, anyway, we went around in circles on that point. We never came to a logical conclusion. But I guess I'll just book it on Agoda and see what happens from there. And there's some kind of a breakfast here too. I don't know if it's included in the price of the room. I have no idea. Anyway, I'm gonna finish moving in and unpacking. All right, I'm all done moving in, and better than that, I've moved in. Oh. And I'm enjoying a cup of instant coffee. At the front desk, they have a set of different types of instant coffee, like the 3-in-1 white coffee, cappuccino coffee, and I started off with a cappuccino, and it came with a little envelope of what they called cocoa granules. And I couldn't figure out why they had the cocoa granules in a separate envelope, but I just ripped it open and tossed it into the cup along with all the rest of the coffee mixture. But then I looked at the picture more carefully after I'd already poured the water. And it turns out you're supposed to make the cappuccino, and then you're supposed to pretend you're at a fancy coffee shop, and then you open up the little package of cocoa granules, or whatever they are called, and then you sprinkle them in the center on the top of the foam, and that makes you think you're in a fancy coffee shop. But yeah, very, very nice. And I have my own kettle with me, so I can boil water here in the room and make my own coffee, so that's very nice. Yeah, for a low-budget hotel, absolutely nothing to complain about. Obviously, if you stayed in a real hotel at a real hotel price, you're going to get far more than what I have in this room. More space, more luxuries, more of everything. But if you're looking for like low budget accommodation in the town of Duri, this is the place. I think you would be very hard pressed to find anything remotely like this or better, you know. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here. And now that I've moved in, there's no way I'm going to stay here for just one night. I can't give up this room that easily. Yeah, I'm going to stay here at least 2 nights. Who knows? Maybe I'll end up spending some time in Duri, though that was never the plan. But we'll see how that works out. Funny thing, just delving into my thoughts a little bit. Last night and this morning, I was watching a couple of more travel videos from a South Korean woman named Jin. She's a cyclist, has been traveling around the world for a long time, and she makes YouTube videos. And I sometimes like to watch, you know, these other travel vlogs from other people just to see how they do things, what their videos are like. And it's always really interesting. In this case, this video she shot was on the island of Tonga in the South Pacific. And one thing I noticed right away is that she just rides all the time. Whether it's raining or not, there's pouring rain all the time. She just keeps riding and just lets the rain pour down. So she's pretty tough that way. And she does a lot of camping out. I mean, there aren't really any hotels there, I guess. So she would just go up to local people at the end of the day and ask them, you know, do you mind if I put up my tent in your yard? And they let her do that. And she was telling the story of the last place where she did that. And the people said, yeah, sure, you can stay here. And they ended up just inviting her inside the house. She slept inside the house and they gave her dinner and, you know, all that kind of hospitality. And I think that tends to happen a lot to her. And it happens a lot to women in general. But I think it would be a very different story if I were on Tonga, you know, roaming around on my bicycle and like, hey, can I put up my tent in your yard? I don't think they would be as welcoming with someone like me, you know, a guy, a bigger guy, you know. That's not, they'd be much more willing to extend the hospitality to a young woman who looks like she needs help, you know. So I do wonder what it would be like if I did the same thing. But I don't know if I could do the same thing. She doesn't ever focus on this stuff, which I find interesting. In fact, she shot no video of any of these experiences at all. None of it is in her video. Her entire video is made up of these very short clips, like extremely short, some of them 1 or 2 seconds long, and then she might tell the story. So she's riding her bike, and then she says, oh, last night I went up to this house and I asked them if I could put up my tent in their yard, and they invited me inside the house and, you know, gave me a place to stay in the house, and we had dinner together, and there's a story about the police, and there's a story about the, you know, the father of the family coming home late at night and made her a little bit nervous and this and that. But so she had this amazing experience of spending the night with a local family on the island of Tonga, but she captured none of it on video at all. Like no talking with the people, no showing anything at all. Basically, she just did not film any of that experience, and all she did was mention it almost in passing the next morning. And all of her really big experiences were like that, where she didn't even try to take any video of it. And that, you know, when I watch her videos and I think, well, how in the world can she make videos while bike touring? Because I think it's a very difficult thing to do. But then when I watch her video, I say, oh, okay, that's how you do it. You put like 4 or 5 days of experiences in one 10-minute video, and then you don't actually record any video or audio of any of the real experiences that you had. I'm like, okay, well then, yeah, sure, then you can shoot a video. But it would be a much more complicated process, more challenging if she tried to shoot video of that whole night with the family and record all of that in real time on video. That would be much more challenging. But I do wonder how she can handle the climate as well. I just moved from my hotel to this new hotel, and by the time I hadn't even unpacked yet, all I had done was check in and move my bags into this room, and I was drenched in sweat. I had to get out of all my clothing. My shorts were dripping wet. My shirt was dripping wet. I was just soaking, I just soaked right through all my clothing. And that's how I feel all the time. That's how I felt for the last decades of life in Asia. All I do is sweat and get soaking wet. And it becomes extremely difficult to do anything outside. You just can't, because you're so hot and sweaty all the time. And in her case, like sleeping in her tent night after night, I'm wondering, how in the world does she do it? How can she wake up in the morning and then somehow find food? And she never mentions bathrooms either. I mean, it's one thing to sleep in a tent. I've done it on a number of occasions in my life, but in Asia, it's extremely difficult to do because you're hot and sweaty and miserable the entire time. It's almost impossible to get any sleep because of that. All the local people come crowd around your tent, and they keep you up for hours and hours and hours all night because it's so interesting for them to be hanging out with a foreigner. They're very friendly, and they just basically, a big party happens around your tent, and it's very difficult to do. And then if you need a bathroom, if you're sick to your stomach in particular, which happens to me a lot, then what do? You're trapped in this tent, and there's no bathrooms of any kind. Like, how do you deal with the the call of nature? But she never actually talks about any of those problems. But yeah, she seems to wake up in the morning, pack up her tent, pack up her gear, and cycles along and looks fresh, looks ready to go. And I would be a wreck. As I said, I moved from an air-conditioned hotel into another air-conditioned hotel, and it just wiped me out, just soaked with sweat. And I really needed to take a shower and get clean and make a cup of coffee and settle in, before I can feel human again. So yeah, I don't know how she can do that. It's so difficult. But anyway, yeah, it's always interesting to watch videos from cyclists in particular. I always like to read between the lines about the difficulties of their journey, the things that they face that they may not show in the video. Anyway, this is what my room looks like after all of my luggage exploded. I always like having twin beds, sleep in one, all my gear on the other, and I always sleep in the one on the right-hand side, so that when I'm sitting in it with my back against the bed rest there, then my right hand is over to the right, because that's where I always keep my cup of coffee. There's no bedside table here, but the bed is so low I can keep my coffee on the floor. So I always choose this bed to sleep in, this bed for all my gear. And as with most hotels here, they don't give you any top sheets. So all you get on the bed is this blanket. And I can't really sleep very well with just a small but thick blanket like that. So that's why I always have my own sleeping sheet. I put that on the bed, so at least I have a sheet. And then I can pull the blanket over top. So there's all my gear. This room is a lot nicer than the other one I was just in from a point of view of getting organized too. Look at that. Electrical outlet right above the bed where it's supposed to be, so I could run my extension cord down there, plug in all my electronics. So there's a electrical outlet there, and there's another one here, actually 2 plugs over here right beside the desk, so I can plug in my kettle there, and then you've got the TV there. A little desk, no chair of any kind. And there's my trailer, and there's all of my clothing just soaked through with sweat just from moving hotels. And you get a nice mirror on the wall over there, and a wardrobe over here. Hook on the door, check that out. Love hooks. Yeah. So there's my room now that I've sort of moved in. So now I'm going to settle in, have a couple of cups of coffee, and see if I can edit the video that I shot yesterday. Well, there's my room and my bike waiting patiently for me. Nice spot to put it. It's actually sheltered here, which is really great because we just had a good couple of hours of heavy rain. You can still see it's pretty wet out there. Some water coming down off the roof still. But yeah, it was pretty heavy rainstorms today. One great thing about this room is the Wi-Fi router is right there, right above my windows, above my door. So I've got a nice Wi-Fi signal for a change. And it's getting later in the day, about 4:30. And I thought I'd go for a short walk around my neighborhood and get something to eat. That is the mission for this little walk. Yeah, it's a really nice location for this place too. There it is, right behind me. Homestay Rido Ilahi. And turn this direction and boom, right there, that's the main road. So there should be all kinds of places to eat right along there. And I think I spotted a spot earlier. Turning right up here, I think there's quite a large cafe. Indonesian food, but it looks like they have spacious seating, like tables and chairs on the inside. I looked them up online. I think it's called a Larisa Cafe. Oh, look at that. I think they had a big celebration here. I haven't done a translation on this. Someone's wedding or birthday, or I suppose it could be, to be honest, it's probably a funeral now that I think about it. But they do this thing here where they make large billboards out of colored paper to look like flower petals. So some kind of a ceremony. But I just noticed walking by here, there's another homestay right there. That's a homestay. But here's the main street. And there's a burger place up here too that caught my eye. I could go for a burger. Haven't had anything like that for quite a while. So let's see if Larisa is open. Oh, this would be it right here. Soto Medan, Larisa Cafe. So I guess their specialty is soup. It's not busy right now. It's too early, I guess. Oh, okay, they have a lot of food available here. So I think I'll pop inside and see what I can get here. Definitely a soup, and then we'll go from there. Lontong Medan, nasi lemak, nasi soto, nasi goreng, and bubur ayam. Oh, that would be nice. It's mainly, I think it's more of a breakfast dish. I'll have to come back here in the morning. And here's all the seating that I mentioned. Hello, how are you? Larisa Cafe. Yeah, it looks like a nice place. All right, I'm very glad that I stopped here. Very friendly people. They welcomed me as I walked in. And the woman at the table here, sort of at a kind of a little desk over there, she speaks English. And then she walked me through their menu. And they seem to be well known for kind of soups here. So I ordered a Soto Medan with chicken. And that one has sort of a coconut milk base. They also have like chicken soup, which is more of a traditional chicken broth, I guess. But the one I got was with a coconut broth, coconut milk. And I ordered roast chicken ayam bakar with rice and maybe some veggie side dishes, I'm not quite sure. And I ordered a drink, a avocado juice pokat. So there's the menu on the top left there. That's the soto. And on the right is the more of the traditional soup, anyeka soup, Soto Medan. And you can get nasi goreng, things like that. And then they have a bunch of snacks here. And then the lontong menu, that would be for breakfast, when they don't have those items right now. And then these are all the drinks that they offer. And I went for this one here. I was just intrigued by the way it looks there. Juice pokat, avocado drink. So there's the whole menu. And here's my view from where I'm sitting, out on the wet road out there. And at the moment, I have the whole place to myself. As you can see, I'm the only customer here, so I got special service. So I'm going to settle in and enjoy this meal very much, I think. Whoa, the huge puddle outside on the road. A truck goes through it. It's splashing a lot, but doesn't reach me inside. Nice and dry inside. The elements of my meal are starting to arrive very quickly. There's my avocado, or yeah, I think it's avocado, right? Avocado drink with chocolate, I guess. And I can feel ice inside, so I'm gonna let it get nice and cold. And then this is my soto madan. Coconut broth and chicken and noodles and potato balls, I think they said. Fried onions and parsley, all kinds of things in there. And rice. I'm just waiting on my ayam bakar. Setting aside the drink to get nice and cold, and let's dive into the soup while it's still nice and hot. Oh boy. It looks so good. Really nice. I never regret ordering one of the coconut-based meals. Like anything with coconut adds so much flavor. I really like it. This is so good. And of course, as always, it helps that I'm starving. I arrived here in Duri quite late in the day yesterday. All the trouble I had with the hotel. Very difficult day on the road. And I barely found the energy to go outside looking for something to eat. So I just had a very light meal at some place in the neighborhood last night. I didn't have much to eat. And today I haven't eaten at all. I didn't have breakfast. I was busy in my old hotel doing things, copying video files, all that kind of stuff, drinking coffee, and then packing up and moving here. And I didn't have lunch either. So this is the first meal of the day for me. That was really nice. All right. Oh, okay. Looks nice. Thank you. The ayam bakar just arrived. Look at that. Really nice presentation. Just a little smattering of veggies there. And then this dish of some, like a dipping sauce for the chicken, I assume. See what that tastes like. That's hot. Wow. That is very hot. It might be too much for me. Yeah, I need to cool that off with some coconut broth. Yeah, that's way too spicy for me. Wow. That would just end up burning my taste buds right out. I wouldn't even be able to taste the chicken or the veggies. Wow. I don't know what the base spicy, like the hot part of that dish is, but whatever they put in there, that's really hot.
Maybe you want to potato balls?
Oh, potato balls.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. And a little bit of a treat. They brought some potato balls here. Let me grab the GoPro because I want to get a close-up of this whole meal before I make a mess of it. So there it is, the whole display. And these are the two new dishes. The ayam bakar looks really good. Though I'm going to be steering clear of this for the most part. And the potato balls there. And my chicken coconut broth soup. A feast. Let's try some of these the potato balls. I needed a filling meal, and this is exactly what I needed. Nice. I love potatoes. Potatoes are like one of the most plain things you can imagine. I grew up in a Dutch family. And my father had a special taste for like boiled potatoes. Like just potatoes, you skin them, you boil them, put them in a pot, put them on the table, you know, boiled potatoes. Never thought much of the boiled potatoes when I was a kid, but ever since then, just the flavor of potatoes I love. So something like this, to me, is just delicious. Well, set aside the soup just for now to have a little bit of this chicken without the spice. Looks good. Very hot. A lot of flavor there. It's not just, because I've had like roast chicken, ayam bakar, a few times recently, and most of the time it doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. It's just roasted chicken, but this has a real nice spicing added to it. Yeah, it's very flavorful. It's also good. I don't know which one to have first. Anyway, so that's a sampling of all the dishes. Now I'm going to just dive in and enjoy this lunch, really take my time with it, and I'll check back in when I'm done. Oh, before I do that, I have to try the drink, right? I haven't sampled this yet. I like that too. Might seem an odd mixture. I've seen that quite a bit with fruit smoothies, and then they add chocolate, like a chocolate syrup to it. But it works. It's a good combination. I'll save that for dessert. Lunch is over, or dinner is over. I have to come up with the name of a new meal, because that meal was like my one meal of the whole day, I suppose. So it's not breakfast, it wasn't lunch, wasn't dinner. Need a new word, you know, the Planet Doug name for a meal that covers the whole day. But yeah, this restaurant is right out on the main street. As you can see, it's a very busy highway. It's a highway basically that runs right through the middle of town. It gets all kinds of traffic on it. Big trucks, small cars, motorcycles. And if you come into town from this direction, this is what you'll see. Soto Madan Larisa Cafe. Yeah, really nice people here, really good food. I liked it anyway. I'm no gourmet, but I thought it was very tasty. And the whole meal altogether, ayam bakar, the soup, the curry, well, coconut milk curry soup, rice, and the drink, it all came to 58,000 rupiah. Anyway, here we are. One thing, at least while you're sitting in there, you've got a lot to watch. Like out the front of the restaurant, you can watch all of the traffic going by. But yeah, there's the inside again. And they have a martabak stall right out front too. And look at lucky me, my homestay is right down that road. So I'm right beside this restaurant. I think I need to pick up a bottle of water, so I'm gonna find a convenience store. And this is the burger place that I mentioned. Mansoor Hot Burger. So they have a bunch of you know, burgers and pasta and dim sum. Yeah, looks like a nice place too. Well, I got my bottle of water. I went a bit nuts, and I got one of the big boys. May not look like it on the GoPro, But that's a large bottle of water. I have to bring it back to my hotel room in stages. I can't carry it very far without my fingers wearing out. I couldn't quite figure out whether this was one of those bottles of water where you're paying just for the water or you're putting a deposit on the bottle as well. I probably ended up overpaying because I put a deposit on the bottle and you're supposed to keep reusing it. But I was just impatient. I just wanted to get a lot of water all at once. I haven't seen a water purification center around here, and I don't feel like going out looking, so I'm giving my arm muscles and my finger muscles a workout. It's very heavy. Actually, I don't even know how much water there is in this bottle. Not as much as I thought, actually. 15 liters. Feels heavier than 15 liters, or I guess I'm just getting weaker.